Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant morning to all of you today. At the outset, I would like to greet a warm welcome and greetings to our co host for today, the ACIE Perbanas, Surabaya, Indonesia, represented today by Dr. Joari, who is currently the director for Language Laboratory and also serving as the international president of Iasper. Our greetings also go to our second co-organizer today, uh, the University of Bohol, particularly the president, Dr. Victoriano Bitirol III, represented today by one of our keynote speakers, Dr. Leah Wilfreda Chavez Pilongo, the Dean of the University Research Center of the University of Bohol. We are grateful for our co-organizers because without their participation, we would not have been able to mount this successful event. I would also like to greet Dr. Charlene Nixon, the Development Manager of the EC Council in Florida, USA, who will be properly introduced later this afternoon as one of the keynote speakers. Welcome to the second day of the second International Virtual Conference on Interdisciplinary Research in Higher Education, with an appropriate theme which says Interdisciplinary Research for Collective Survival. I would like to mention at this point that our gratitude also goes to Dr. Safari Wa Imbalika, who expertly and dexterously explained the various dimensions of our theme on interdisciplinary research. So, in his talk yesterday, he was able to differentiate the various types of research, such as interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary. Then we also have interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary. My message for you today is captured in three words of wisdom. The first one is that research is a unifying force that galvanizes our role and responsibility as purveyors and seekers of truth and knowledge, and that such a mandate, such a vision, such a responsibility or duty still survives and persists despite the pandemic. Yesterday, I took note of one of the presenters, Dr. Alfredo Pabios, when he created an experimental design within the pandemic period. So there is no turning back. There is only one way to move forward, and that is to proceed with research. The second words of wisdom that I'd like to partake to you today is that our research culture should not only be dependent on institutional goals, because although research is a very important mandate of universities and colleges, the real battlefront of research in which the flame flourishes is always in the heart and mind of every researcher who is appropriately an educator. So despite of the cultures of schools and despite of the type of support that schools have for research, what should be constant is the fire to do research, the drive to make known to the world what we have discovered in venues like this during an international conference, and the drive to have our work published. And in so doing, we will be able to reach out to other people. And other people across the borders will be able to learn from our results and experiences so that they may want to cite us, they may want to utilize what we have done, customized to their own unique settings in their environment. The third one that I'd like to share to you today is the need to calibrate from individual or unidisciplinary research to interdisciplinary research. Why? Because the problems in society today cannot be solved by a single discipline. There has got to be the application of various disciplines. There has got to be an understanding of a phenomenon of a social problem from various disciplines. So the net effect will be that we will be able to have multidimensionality as opposed to unidimensionality in the way we look at problems. So this will also challenge our methodologies, that we will be able to combine methodologies. So welcome now to what we call as mixed methods, where we have a combination of quantitative, qualitative research procedures so that we will be able to marry together the strengths of the different methodologies. So, with interdisciplinary research, we expect that our understanding of reality would also be multidimensional and that the kind of answers to our problems would be multidimensional and the kind of solutions that we will generate vis-a-vis our recommendations will also be multidimensional. That is the only way that our planet will survive. That is the only way that our universities and our societies will survive when we have a fuller understanding of the complexity of such a problem. In my 30 years career as a researcher and educator, I am well aware that although many have changed already in our milieu, many topics have already been added in research. What usually lags behind is methodology. If you are going to take a look at studies conducted 50 years, 75 years ago until today, most of these studies only focus on surveys, and then the methodologies would only explore tests of differences, tests of association, tests of relationship. And we are sort of boxed into that kind of mindset that one independent variable affects another dependent variable, and that in between there could be a moderating variable. That has never changed in the last 75 years. So the idea, therefore, of combining methodologies, the idea of exploring and exploiting the resources in the web so that we will be able to optimize whatever current knowledge we have about research will allow us to catapult ourselves into better science, into more responsive research, into better higher education. So as we listen to the different papers that will be presented this morning and in the afternoon, always have in mind to fulfill one need. Listen intently to learn. Second, find out how you can apply the ideas and the results as well as the recommendations in your local setting. And third, on how you will be able to forge new alliances, new partnerships, new collaborations with those people who are presenting today so that there is still something that you want to do right after your presentation. Enjoy the various ideas, be appreciative of what you hear, and most importantly, be grateful that God has still given you a life to live until today. Because sadly, we have to recognize the fact that the pandemic, COVID 19, has claimed so many lives, has killed many of our friends, many of our colleagues, many of our acquaintances. So we hope that our research will enable us to extend further our lifeline so that together we can still make a beautiful world. Thank you. And I leave you with a note that we are also very much grateful to the assistance as well as the leadership of Miss Gail Tuico Salalima, in whose leadership as the executive director of Iasper, we are able to savor the blessings for today, as well as, of course, the assistance of her colleague, Mr. Russell Abshuna, the executive director of the Asian Society for Teachers for Research, as well as Mr. Johnny Labunog from Yamri and AAIR. Thank you and a pleasant day to all of you.